Hello, true art believers. It is Pearson here. It is a wonderful night. It's a superb, most amazing night. And today, in today's installment of the Artist Interview Series, we have Carol Boss. Carol, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a 40-minute. Wait. No, 40. I had an hour-long nap. An hour-long nap. Do you ever have those hour? Do you ever get an hour-long nap and like think that's glorious, or do you think that's too much? Think it's too much?
I always do either a 20-minute or a 2 hour. So
20. So there's no variance. It's like 20 or 2 hours.
there you go. Yeah.
I sometimes I can get by with a good 15-minute nap and like feel like I had an hour-long nap. But like if I go to that 30 minute, I start just like, oh, let's have another 15. And then I'll say, I'll have another 10. And then I'll have another 5, right? So that's what kind of happens. Um, so, Carol, we're going to talk about your art, of course. It's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's a given. Yeah?
Yes.
It's a given we're going to talk about your art. But, Carol, um, I, I used to have a coffee machine. Well, I still have the coffee machine, Carol. You're wondering where I'm going with this. I don't know. I used to have a coffee machine, and I told myself I'm going to stop drinking coffee because I don't want caffeine anymore. Because I heard that like for some sciencey stuff, I heard sciencey stuff, and I said I don't want to drink coffee. And I actually sleep better, and I don't take as long many naps, or the naps I don't need,
You
I
don't drink
guess.
coffee at all?
Not for the past a week and a half. Uh,
Okay.
and and then I used to be drinking a ton of coffee, like a ton. Hi. Daniel Daniel Best says hi.
Ah,
Um, so Carol, if you can answer any questions or any comments that are happening on the side right of you on the screen, if you see the comment section, you see that?
I do see.
Okay, so they're
Yep.
streaming there. So I'm not drinking any coffee, and I was like, well, I'm going to make it even harder for me. So I'm going to store the coffee pot and a coffee machine somewhere in the pantry or whatever you call it, whatever, like the shelves that you have that you hold food and such. So I was going to put it in the shelves, and the coffee pot fell and shattered. So
Fan.
I can't even have coffee even if I have a hankering for it. I was planning on having like coffee every Sunday as like a treat. It's like I want to have this really nice, coffee, maybe with some sugar, and chill out for a second before I start the day. But I can't do that anymore, Carol. I can't do that. So I ask you this, Carol. What is the best way to start the day?
You're going to have to go to Sadara and get a coffee. Have you been there?
So, okay, I have not been Siddhartha. So Siddhara is the best way to start the day, or that's just a suggestion?
No, they have really great coffee. You're going to have to go get a coffee somewhere else, is what I'm suggesting.
Oh, I'd be broke. It'd be too expensive.
Uh, you could meditate. You want to meditate?
Is that the best way to start the day?
It is. I haven't done it in a long time, though, but it is
Yeah.
the best way to start the day.
When did you stop meditating?
I don't know.
You
A
don't
while
know?
back I got busy, but having a dog, now I get up and walk the dog. So
Okay. What do you do on that walk, Carol? What do you walk around and look? Do you have a coffee mug with you? Do you have
no, I can't carry a coffee mug. I got dog treats, 2 poop bags, and we walk in the cemetery behind my house.
Okay. Why a cemetery? Is that because it's there?
We call it the park. It is there. It's right behind my house. It's
It's
St.
right
Paul.
behind your house.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's got like a mile loop in it. Yeah. So we go for a walk in the cemetery.
And then after you do that walk, what initially happens? Like what's your day entail after you set up this best way to start the day? The screen's really bright. Anyways, uh, after you set up the best way to start the day, you woke up, you had your cup of Joe, and you've walked your dog around in the cemetery. What's next?
I'm working part-time at Panera, so I normally hit the shower and go to work. But if it's the weekend, it's different. I'll normally do dishes. I don't know. Nothing exciting, bills. Nothing exciting during the day.
So you say that the best days is doing dishes and paying bills?
No, I'm not saying it's the best days. I'm saying that's how it goes on most days. Now, if I'm painting, I like to start painting early, though.
Do you pay bills every day? Is there like there's like 30 bills a day?
1 day a week, probably.
1 day a week?
Yeah. If I can help it, that's
If you can help it.
Yeah.
So why Panera? Why you work part-time Panera? Why that place? Is there something you like Panera?
It's close to my house, but I used to wait tables in college. I went to college in the Ozarks and around Branson. It's a work study program. And then I waited tables at the Outback, which is not part of the chain, by the way. It's not. It was originated at the same time, but I waited tables then, and I was just looking for part-time work to get out of the house. My plan was to work part-time in the public, be around the public for a couple days a week, and then the rest of the week I could stay home and paint like a few days a week. So it was a good way to get a part-time job and get out of the house and get some interaction.
So at Panera, that's a good way because it's nearby. You could walk there, yeah.
No, I gotta drive.
You gotta drive. So you worked at the Outback, not Steakhouse, in college.
Yes, it was called Outback Steak and Oyster Bar.
Outback Steak and Oyster Bar.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was like the 90s. So
okay.
It was like the Melrose place of the 90s. I don't know. It was the hip happening place to work at in college. The tips were good. People were nice, fun. Did you see the movie Waiting?
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. But
it wasn't that bad. So did the Outback, not Steakhouse, ever did you get like any what'd you call it? Like free food?
Yeah, well, you got half off, but yeah, you got some free food.
Did you since you were a college student and you're going to Outback, not Steakhouse, to make some extra dough so you can pay for whatever you need to pay, did you ever like ask for free meals? Like, I am a poor college student, can I have like dinner tonight?
I would just sample the soup of the day like multiple times. You could buy a bread roll for $0.25 and you would sample the soup of the day multiple times.
Oh wow. And that would be like you could like ride that all day long until you had to go home?
Well, that was
right.
I only worked nights there, but yeah, it tied me over, yeah. Well, back then you didn't eat. It was the 90s. You were trying to stay skinny.
Okay. Any interesting stories that you have at Outback, not Steakhouse?
My friend waited on Buddy Epson, Jed Clampett, and I went around the corner and saw him sitting at a table eating soup. Who's the guy from? There's a guy from the show Dallas that I waited on. He was really cool. I'm supposed to go bungee jumping with his friend's wife the next day, but they bailed on me. They didn't show. But Howard Keel, I waited on him, and he found out Kenny Rogers was in the building at the same time. So he told me to go over to Kenny Rogers and tell him that if he didn't come over and say hi to him, he wasn't going to go to his show the next night. So Kenny Rogers popped up from his table and followed me over to Howard Keel's table. I don't know.
And he said hi?
He said hi to him. They talked for a little bit.
And he went to the show.
Yes. I don't know. I had a bunch of friends though that I worked with there. I made friends with them, and afterward we would go out to the lake, and there was a private boat dock on the lake that we'd take. There was a paddle boat we'd take out and go paddle boating. Friends that play guitar, bonfire.
Yeah.
Party kind of thing. Yeah. It was good.
What'd you go to college for?
I went to school to would you like to hear my degree? I have a degree in art and then a degree in business. And it was a small college, so you had to do a degree with emphasis. So my art degree, I had an emphasis in painting and graphic design, and then my degree was a emphasis in marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what happened like after college? What'd you jump into?
Well, first I moved to Vegas because my girlfriend said she had a job for me at a casino. So I was a casino auditor for a little while. And then I moved. Casino auditor?
Yeah, what's a casino auditor?
You check all the payouts, like you do spreadsheets in Excel of all the payouts. And it's gaming commission. Yeah, so you do reports and stuff.
What was it like to live in Las Vegas?
It was okay. There was, parts were Sodom and Gomorrah, and parts were like just country folk, like living that were ranchers and stuff. I think it was really fun though with the casinos and stuff. Because every casino had their gimmick. Like, you could get a steak for $4.99, or you could get a hot dog, home of the Ho Dog at Westward Ho, a half-pound hot dog and a beer for 99 cents. Like every place had a gimmick thing, but. My favorite casino had they had an ice skating rink and a bowling alley, and it was out on the outskirts. It was awesome.
And every strike you made $500, right?
No.
That is like it was like a blackjack bowling. You had to bowl your 21.
Yeah, no, yeah, I didn't gamble. I worked too much when I was there. I gambled some. My girlfriend Dorothy was hilarious though. She would go to the casino and we would play a slot machine by the door, and she'd go, watch this. And I'd say, what? And back then, it was when they actually used the quarters. So she would take a bucket of quarters. She'd wait till somebody get up from a machine that had been there for a while. She'd take her bucket of quarters and wait till that person walked just a little bit away, and she'd go and she'd throw that bucket of quarters in there and start yelling, I won. And that person would turn around and get so mad. She used to do that a lot. It was pretty entertaining.
Actually, I was about to think that your buddy was just gonna throw quarters in there, because like I hear that the chances of winning if someone's not winning on those quarter slots, they increase through time.
Well, maybe we used to think certain ones by the door would work better down on the strip because they're trying to get people in. So we used to think they rigged the machines by the door to win. I don't know though. Yeah.
What are some cool stories that you have in Las Vegas?
I didn't have a lot of cool stories. We go to karaoke. Let's see. We went to at the ice skating rink. They had an aviation league that came there to play hockey. I don't know, just going and doing stuff. I went to Hoover Dam too many times.
Oh yeah.
People would come visit, and they always wanted to go to Hoover Dam, and the tour guide would always say, the dam walls and the dam floor and I went to Hoover Dam too much.
What would you say how many times you went to Hoover Dam?
Probably 6.
And that's 6.
And I only lived there for 9 months, so 6 times in 9 months is too long.
You lived there for 9 months? What then what happened after that? You graduated with your business and art degrees, and you moved to Las Vegas, and you were an auditor, and now you're 9 months in, you saw the Hoover Dam 6 times, and you're like, I don't like the Hoover Dam this much. I need to get out. What'd you do after that?
I moved to St. Louis.
Why St. Louis? Why?
I hate to get into it, but it was to get married, but that didn't happen. So we can move along to another story, but yeah. But so I ended up working in St. Louis, which is convenient considering when I was in high school, I used to always say I was going to go work for Budweiser. Like that was my dream thing. And my first job was at Type 2, and then I did a little freelance jobs, and they got me a job. I freelanced, and I ended up working at Bush Creative.
What's so you wanted to work, what's Type 2?
Type 2 was an old type. It was originally a hot metal shop. It was an old type house.
Okay.
But when I worked there, it was production. Like I worked on the computer side though, but they still had people that were doing paste up, old school print.
Okay.
Yeah, it was over in Hanley Court.
Okay, so like what do you mean production? What's that? What's that?
Do what?
What do you mean by production? What do you when you said you worked in production?
An artist would give you a pencil of a layout, like saying, "Hey, we want the image of the graphic to be here, and we want the type to be here. We want you to do the layout." So I would do it on a Mac. You know,
How fast?
how fast? What?
How fast were those computers back in the day?
They weren't really fast.
Like
Was the Mac Pro? It was after that, but yeah, they were.
like, and those were like the monsters of the graphic design age at the time, and they still kind of are, but like PCs are kind of caught up, but or at least I think they have. I don't know.
PC? Are you a PC or a Mac?
I'm whatever's cheapest. So it's probably PC. I'm running on a PC at the moment. So how long did you work at Type 2? You say?
A couple of years.
And then you said you went to you worked for Anheuser-Busch's
Was there a
created
subsidiary? Yeah, their ad agency was creative.
What was that like?
It was busy. We were really busy. I did a lot of coupons, some point of sale, and then some of it annual reports. But I think that's when I started getting into retouching a little bit. Like I did production mostly, but I started getting into retouching.
Yeah.
So, I did some though at Type 2 too, because we had a drum scanner there. Remember, it was film, so you did transparencies on a drum scanner. That was the cutting edge technology at the time. You did Moog auto part catalogs at Type 2. Yeah. Bussman Fuse catalog.
Bussman Fuse catalog.
Yeah.
And then the Anheuser-Busch. Did you ever get any free beer?
Yes, they did. They give you free beer. You got so much free beer a month. And then you could also get tickets to SeaWorld. It was good. It was good when I was there. I liked it.
What happened?
I got an offer for a job at Zippitoni, which was better. Yeah, so Zippitoni for a while was the #1 promo agency in the nation, and they were kind of known for going into town, and I think they took like the best of the best from a bunch of different ad agencies and production houses.
Yeah.
Assembled Zippitoni. We were up to, I think we were over 200 people at one point, maybe more. Yeah, so I started doing production there just for a couple of weeks, and they offered me to go into their digital retouching department, which is called Photocelli. And so I switched over and I became a retoucher and did some illustration comps and manipulation assembly.
Why is it called Photocelli?
Because they had different names for all departments. Because the whole place was called Zippitoni, so they called, one part Mac Lab and one part Photocelli. They had different names for the departments than regular ad agency.
Like what was some?
You had leather jackets. You had leather jackets with patches on it for work. Yeah, like it was.
You had leather jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. They used to bring in bagels every morning, and we had Starbucks coffee and bagels, and then we had free ice cream. They kept food there. They wanted to keep you working. They had a fully stocked free bar for when you got off work with Bacardi, because we had Bacardi and Miller were our accounts. Yeah, everything. They wanted to keep you working, so they kept like all the stuff there.
Just stay here. There's free booze. We got bagels and coffee. Yeah, and you just pour a little bit of this liquor inside the coffee, and you can have a bagel. What else? What other free foods did they have?
They had ice cream. We had they kept peanut butter and apples around, and hot dogs and lunch meat, and there was all kinds of stuff. You could always get something out of the kitchen. They had a restaurant grade kitchen installed, so it had restaurant stoves and this huge butcher block down the middle. It was back in the day. It was awesome. We did Dryer than Edie's ice cream. At the time was one of our accounts, so we had ice cream.
Did they have Totino's pizza rolls?
They did not.
Did they have any pizza rolls?
No, they did not.
Did they have anything in the? that like did they have pizza bagels?
No, unless you want to make your bagel into a pizza. No. Yeah.
Did they have so like I hear like graphic design firms. I don't know if this is true, but like some of them have places that you sleep, like showers and such, because they want to keep you there and work. Is that true?
We did not have showers, but in our little cubes or pods, we would go into the thrift store and get furniture. So I had a recliner in mine, and I had we at the time had doers. And so I had like, because you would get swag, you know, like you would get shirts or merchandise or blankets. So I had a doer's blanket in there. And I know there's a guy that used to work all-nighters a lot, and he would come and sleep in my chair in my office.
How many hours do you think you'd work there? Like a week?
I mean, it could be, I would say on low end, it would be 50, and then it could be 60. But if it was really slammed, it could be 80. You never know.
Yeah. And they probably paid you salary. What is that about right? Salary?
Yeah.
Ooh. So like the when you got hired on, I'm assuming you got a pretty good salary, but like then with the hours, right?
Yeah, they did. So yeah, they did really good at matching my salary. Like I talked them into more. So yeah, salary was good to start, but the hours eat it up. But
yeah, but you had unlimited ice cream.
That's right, and coffee, bagels.
Did you take advantage of that? Because I love food, Carol. I love food so much. Like I work in a restaurant on the weekend for some extra cash, and
will you say what restaurant, or is that a secret?
a secret. It's a secret restaurant.
Okay.
And I get food, you know, sometimes. That's one of the nice little perks. Like I was like the waiter will be like, "Oh, we messed up this order. It's not supposed to be in the sauce." And then like 5 hours later it's still under the heat lamp, and like we can't sell this now. You know? I'm like, "Give it to me. I'll eat it." So that's what I do. Like, I'll eat it. Don't throw it away. And there's some people will throw it away. I'm like, no, I'm gonna get also upset. So that's kind of like you. Well, I can't imagine like a place that has industrial size kitchen, a fridge with like unlimited ice cream and bagels. If they have other food besides ice cream and bagels, because I'm assuming that they should have more than that. They had more than that, right? Did they?
They had lunch meat and stuff for sandwiches and hot dogs.
Okay. So that's so the not so desirable foods. The only desirable food would be the ice cream, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
So
I like ice cream, okay, but I'm not gonna make you cry, am I? I could have taken the coffee. I'll for the coffee for sure. Are you crying?
No, I'm not. I'm making weird eye faces. Can you do it? Can you try this with me? Sorry, I'm kidding. So, what happened to Zipatoni? Like, that sounds like it was a pretty good job. Like, aside from the 80-hour work weeks occasionally, what happened?
Eventually, it got bought out, and when it got bought out, they eventually started doing some layoffs and stuff. And I had started freelancing on the side, so I actually quit in the middle of them laying off. I tried to get them to to lay me off because I know they were given severance, but they already knew I was quitting, so they wouldn't do it. It was worth a shot, though, right? To get some.
You could have done like your own version of the Office.
What
Office
did they?
Space. The Office Space. Office Space, not the Office. Office Space.
So what did they do? I've seen
it in Office Space.
Yeah, I've seen Office Space, but it's been a long time.
Well, the guy basically he gets like hypnotized. Like he's going to be hypnotized, and then like the guy has like a heart attack mid hypnotization, like mid hypnotization, right? As he's hypnotizing him, and then he wakes up and like he feels absolutely credible, and like he goes to work, and his main premise of work is how little I can work and still have a job, and he does so little that people want to give him more work. Like, oh, he's just not challenged enough. We just got to give this guy a big raise, lay off like 5 people to pay for his raise, and we'll see what happens. You should have just start like doing that. Just chilling out, playing Minesweeper and eating bagels and ice cream, making bagel ice cream cake sandwiches. And you could have told your boss, like, I was going to do the layout for this, but I got distracted with this ice cream bagel sandwich.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that might have got you laid off. So you quit midway. You're trying to get laid off because you wanted that sweet severance package. Who doesn't? Yeah.
I didn't try, but yeah.
You didn't try?
I didn't try too hard. I just went and talked to my boss, but yeah, they said no way. They wouldn't lay me off. So
did your boss say no way, Jose?
Not exactly.
No.
Say no way.
And was your boss like, in what world do you think I'm going to give you a severance?
Right. No.
So you were doing freelancing on the side. What was the freelancing like on the side?
It was good. The first client I think the first client I probably had was Square One Brewery. Have you heard of them? I did some logos, some beer tapper logo designs and stuff like that for them. And then I picked up an ad agency, Rio Creative. I was doing retouching for them. So yeah, and so I realized that I could pick up enough clients. I was already picking up enough work that I could make the transfer. And just go to working for myself. So
yeah.
So I hopped
and you did that for how long?
Still doing it.
Still doing it? Still
do it. Some different clients, have come and gone, and it's slowed down a little bit, but yeah, I pick up some freelance work every now and then.
What freelance work are you doing right now? Or is it confidential?
I don't have one right now. I worked for a shoe company, or not a shoe, a dance apparel company recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was catalog work for them. But
did they give you shoes?
No. I wish they would have given me some clothes, but no.
Do any of your clients ever give you like free swag, free stuff?
As a freelancer, not so much. A little, I don't know. There was a couple agencies that I get like a big umbrella, a bag. But when I freelance, not as much as when you work there. But
what are some of the struggles of freelancing in your field?
Feast or famine. Either you're really busy and you have 3 people calling you for work that they all need it right now, or you have nothing at all. That's probably the worst of it.
So consistency.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you go about that? Like, what do you do? How do you promote yourself? Like, how do you market yourself and such? Like, what are some things?
Really do a lot. I mean, the thing is every client I've ever got was from word of mouth, from somebody referring me. And St. Louis is such a small town, in that way that even though I've reached out before to other places that, on my own, I didn't feel like it was productive. Like, I think almost every client I've gotten was from a referral.
Okay. So that's actually, I would say that's pretty cool, because some people can struggle to get that word of mouth, even if they have high quality work, so like, how do you think you kind of, how do you think you lassoed that word of mouth touch? Like, what do you think you did to inspire that client to say, that Carol boss does some really nice stuff, and this person needs some stuff done, and I think I might refer her to this person here. Um, Let me give Carol a call.
I don't know. I just think that you got to do the work fast and do it well and get it right and make them happy. I don't know. And do what they're telling you. You got to be a chameleon, because when you're freelancing for a bunch of different agencies or places, they all like have different rules on how to handle things. And so you got to be able just to pay attention to what they really want and give what they want. So
Carol, how do you what do you do with regards to charging? What are your rates? How's that function? How do you do your?
I don't want to tell my rates.
You don't tell like how much is it per hour, per gig,
per hour?
Per hour? Okay. And is there some mathematical formula that you do? How'd you come up with it? Is it
whatever the competitive rate has been for, like, I have a different rate for production, a different rate for digital retouching and illustration. And, it just depends. I have, for a smaller client, I have taken a bid job where I'll do it per logo or per, piece, but that's normally if it's a small restaurant or something like that, because I know that they're on a tight budget.
Yeah.
But for an ad agency, it's an hourly rate.
An hourly, so like, so it's not even for like per project. So, do you typically know how long it takes you to do a certain thing,
they give an estimate? So I found that I'm 2/3 off. Like I get 2/3 of it right. I'm a third off. So if I give an estimate, I take whatever I really think it's going to be, and I add on a third these days, because I've had account people before say, you're always a third off. Like, you always think. So I think I'm a third faster than I am.
Okay. So you have no other like things that you do outside of word of mouth?
Nope.
Wow. That's pretty something.
I thought about doing a mailer before or whatever, but I don't. It's just anything I've done, it seems like word of mouth is really the only way to go.
Okay. Yeah. You're so you do that on the side. So that's one stream of income. So you have like this income made from doing like side gigs, right? Charge per hour, and you have like multiple rates depending on what kind of goal that they are asking. So that's interesting. Didn't know that. And you work at Panera, and because is that just something you just want to do to kind of get out of the house?
It's kind of, it's actually, I've been there maybe a little over 6 months, maybe.
Yeah.
So it started as something to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So
and
it was pre whatever, but I mean, so I don't know if it was 6 months. I have to look back.
Do you get free food?
A little bit.
A little bit. How about, do they still have those bowls of soup that are made out of bread?
Yeah. They sure do.
Those were awesome. I whenever I would go, I always thought that was cool. Is it St. Louis Bread Company or is it Panera?
So it is St. Louis Bread Company and it is Panera. It depends on which city it's in.
Was it Panera? Did Panera buy it out or something, or was it originally Panera and then they moved to St. Louis? Or
I think. Excuse me. I said I wasn't going to cough. Look what I'm doing. Anyway, I don't know the answer to that. I didn't do the research, the history research.
Okay. And you paint, right? You're a painter, yes. And what was that? Was that the quote that you said when people ask what I do? You say I am a painter.
I'm a painter. Yep. I am a painter. Yep.
So tell me about this painting that you do. Or tell me the beginning. You started you painted in college. Did you paint earlier than that, or did you do artwork earlier than that?
I did.
What was that like?
Since I was younger. I mean, I drew, and I painted a little bit in high school, but not that much. I think I started painting more in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then after college, I quit painting for a really long time. And then my husband's father had passed away, and we wanted to do some kind of memorial card. So I did a painting of him, and that's probably the first painting I did since college.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I have a friend, Jeannie. I was telling her how I wanted to be a painter, and she believes in astrology and manifesting and all this stuff. And she said, what you do is you write on a notepad every night. I'm a painter. And so, so I was doing that. I was writing on a notepad every night, I'm a painter. And then you go to bed, and then you read it in the morning, and you read, I am a painter. And so I was in the middle of doing that. And I had reached out to a friend of mine, Roger Stoley, and I said I wanted to paint Big George Brock's hands, because his hands, I met him at a show. He would sit out front at a show at BB's, and he would shake hands with every person that would come into his show. Mm-hmm. And I was just amazed that he was humble enough to sit out and give everybody the time of day. So I decided to paint Big George, his hands. And so I was going to paint him just his hands. Like Roger sent me photos of just his hands, but it out of context, it didn't read right. So instead I painted him actually playing the harmonica and singing, and he had a band behind him. And I gave that painting to Roger to hang down at his shop, Cat Head. And then a friend of mine that I've been doing beer menu covers for at Growlers, he saw that painting, and he said, hey, would you like to paint a mural? After he saw that painting of Big George. And I said, I've always wanted to paint a mural. And so that mural, which is my first, is at Highway 61 Roadhouse and Kitchen in Webster. It's the main musician wall and the mantle wall. So I did that painting. And then later on, Big George saw that painting. He went to do a show there. He saw the painting that it was on the wall, but he saw it shrink wrapped onto a van. And he said, he came up to me at a New Year's show, and I was there. And at the time I was 6 months pregnant. And he said, I'd like you to paint my bus. And I said, what? Because I thought I'm kind of pregnant right now. Anyway, and so after I had my child, I asked my husband, I said, how do you feel about me painting a bus? Just because and he went along with it. So I painted Big George Brock Blues Bus, which it's no longer alive, but for a long time it was alive. It's been published in magazines, and it's known all over the world in the blues community. But yeah. So
what's it like painting a bus? How weren't you afraid of the paint not sticking to the surface?
I just did a little research and just asked around about what kind of paint to use. And there's a paint supply place on South Grand. I talked to them, and I ended up using One Shot automotive paint. So my deal I had is if Big George and Clarion would prime the bus, they had to put the primer on there, because it was more like a shuttle, like that you see at airport or whatever. It was the size of it. But I said, if you prime it, I'll paint it. And that was the deal that we had. And so I wasn't worried about the paint sticking, because I asked around.
One Shot automotive paint.
It was One Shot automotive paint. I was more concerned, like, I didn't have space to paint at the time. I lived in Shaw, and I was trying to figure out if I parked the bus on the street. But luckily, I'm forgetting his name, but there's a guy that owned a construction company that let me paint it on his lot, and he had just a cover overhang. What do you call them? Just with the roof
canopy, maybe.
Yeah, like a canopy, but it was more of a permanent one. But that's where he let me paint it in his lot. Can I Google it, the name of it? Crew Construction. That's what it was. Crew Construction was the name of it. Yeah, but he let me. It was a private lot that had a locked gate, and he let me go in there and paint it. So it took me a couple months, but I finally got it done. I had my girlfriend Laura help me do some of the hood, and I had a friend Julie that kind of helped me a little bit with the lettering on parts of it because by trade, she's a mural painter and a sign painter. Yeah.
So it took you a couple months to do that. And how long were you working on it each day?
Much as I could, because my kid was 18 months old. So I don't know. I would get there really early, but I had to pick him up from daycare. So, I don't really even remember how long. As much as I could do without passing out. The downside of one-shot automotive paint is when it's really hot outside and steamy, it's really fumey, and I might have coughed up a little blood and saw some spots a little. So
wow.
I try to wear a mask, but you can't really see what you're doing, and I would try to blend the paints because I like to blend on the canvas, and so I would dip a bunch of sponge brushes in the paint and get them all there, and then I would mix as fast as I could on the side of the bus. And yeah, I don't know. So I've had somebody since then ask me to paint their they had a Winnebago kind of thing, and Justin Johnson, and at the time I bid really high because I thought coughing up blood, I need to do a mask. I should switch to airbrushing though. I had a friend that said that he would show me how to do. I should switch to airbrush for that because he said you could get it done way faster.
Possibly, yeah.
Although it had a folky feel though, because my painting style looks kind of folky, and I don't know if I would have got that with an airbrush.
Yeah, there certainly would have a certain aesthetic that you might not have gotten. And so, what did that lead you to?
After I painted the bus, Big George came to me and said, what do you think about, he's like, how about you be my manager of the North and Roger be my manager of the South? And I initially said no. I said no. But I still helped him. I helped him with his social media, like his Facebook, and I would read over contracts and help book radio time and TV time sometimes for advertising and stuff. So eventually I took on the manager title. It took me a couple of years, but I did it after there was a woman who got up at a show and got on stage and was dancing, and he was blind at the time, and he didn't find out till later, when the video was on YouTube, and I thought he needs a manager because the band's playing and he's playing, he can't see, he needs somebody there to at least get security and get people off the stage and whatever. So I took on the title after that.
Yeah.
And so I was managing Big George, and people used to say to me, do you love the blues? And I'm like, well, I love Big George. I don't know if I love the blues, but eventually, because like being in the blues community and being around it grows on you. And I fell in love with the community and the music and the blues. So do you want to know how I started painting a blues series?
Yeah, talk about the blues series.
So I had this dream, and it was the best dream of my life that I've ever had. I had this dream that I was in a downtown club, and it was really dark in there, and there was magenta lights flashing, and you could hear B.B. King sing The Thrill Is Gone. And in the club, it was the kind with the old tin ceilings, and in the club you could see artists had paint on their hands, and they were painting silhouettes of people that I knew were blues legends, but you couldn't see their faces. It was silhouettes of musicians. And so that was my dream I had. And then soon after that, Big George called me one night during dinner, and I had a rule that not to call me during dinner. So I'm like, what do you want? He's like, you got to call Sharon. And he's like, and I'm like, who's Sharon? And he's like, the lady with the mask. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I called Sharon the next day, and Sharon McConell-Dickerson, she is the woman who she did life casts of bluesmen. She's a blind artist, and she would take molds of their faces and do these life casts of bluesmen. And we ended up becoming like instantly like sisters and good friends. And we did a painted triptych for Women of the Blues and together. And so we did that prior to that, though, we were brainstorming on the phone, and she started talking about using different mediums. And she goes, it reflects. She goes, like magenta lights. And she started saying that, and she's like, the way she was talking about faces and whatever. And I'm like, I told her, I said, you're describing my dream. And she goes, no, we've talked about the project before. I said, yeah, but we never talked about the magenta lights or the faces and the textures. And I was like, you are describing a dream I had before I met you. And at that time, I kind of decided to paint a blues series. And so expressions of the blues. And so I did an entire series on old tin ceiling tile. And it's showed so far at the National Blues Museum, and it's showed at B.B. King Museum down in Indianola. And I am tentatively scheduled for King Biscuit 2022 to show down at the Delta Cultural Center in Helena, Arkansas.
King Biscuit?
Yeah, King Biscuit Blues Festival. Have you?
No. What's that festival at?
It's a huge blues festival down in Helena, Arkansas. They have one huge main stage, and then they have a lot of little small stages that are out on the road. And I don't know how many. It's even bigger than St. Louis's Big Muddy Blues Festival, but I don't know how to describe it. It's huge. It's a huge blues festival.
And you're gonna go there 2022.
Yeah, I was scheduled at one time for 2020, and I had some family stuff come up, and I ended up canceling that. And then when I reached out to them again, they had scheduled for whoever was scheduled for 2020 that they'd filled the space with. They pushed them to 2021, and so I have, so I'm on the books for 2022. Yeah.
And what are your plans for that?
I'm painting some Arkansas-based musicians to add to the collection. The current collection has a lot of St. Louis in it. A few legends. Like B.B. King's in it. There's a little bit of Chicago in it. My intention is I would love to paint more and more, a little per area, and have it travel to different areas so that we could put, like Chicago in front of Memphis, in front of Mississippi, in front of, and have it travel to different areas so that, because my theory is it could make it grow, and make people more aware about other artists. Do you know Miss High C and Fresh Start? Are you a blues fan?
No, I don't listen to a lot of music.
Okay, so locally, we're blessed to have Miss High C and Fresh Start. They actually went to the International Blues Competition down in Memphis, and they won IBC, which is a competition with people from all over the world. Thousands of bands compete, and our own St. Louis, Miss High C and Fresh Start actually won that competition. Okay. Yeah, so she's actually in the series. I didn't get her painted in time for the St. Louis show, but I did get her painted before. I wanted to get her before the show that I had down at B.B. King Museum, and I was happy to get her in there. And then after that was the competition, and she won it, and it was phenomenal. It was like a Cinderella story because you could watch it like we were watching it live for IBC from my computer, like sitting here and watching her perform on stage. I remember when I thought, because I kept telling her, I'm like, you're going to win this, because every time she got into the local competition, it was a last minute deal. They needed another band to compete, and then she won locally. And then when she went down to Memphis, every time she would show up, it seemed like there was a challenge, and she would overcome it, every single one. And I remember when I knew for sure that she won, I kept telling her there's a healing line around her. She's going to win this thing. And when I knew she was really going to win, as she said on, I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday night, I talked to her on the phone, and she said, oh, the red outfit, I'm going to save the red outfit. I said, why is that? She said, because I'm wearing that on Saturday. I'm wearing that to the final competition. And there's only a few bands that make it into the finals. She's the first St. Louis band to ever make it to the finals. So, and then she won it. But yeah.
She won it?
She won the entire competition. Yes. Yep. She got a proclamation from the mayor downtown. Like they did a whole, not a ceremony for her to pay respect. Gave her a plaque, like gave her an award. So, yeah. Do you like that story? You should go check her out, though. She still plays locally. She's playing at the Lot in October. Have you been to the Lot yet?
What's the Lot?
It's a place to see music downtown.
I have no clue what that
they
is.
They have concerts, but they sell tickets for 4 tickets to a pod, so you can have your own space.
Okay.
We'll go to a concert outdoor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to. You're talking about. There's Chicago, Memphis, St. Louis. What are like the metropolises of like blues in the U.S.? Where other places are there?
That's a really great question. I wish I knew more how to answer that, because part of me is still learning about the blues. So I know there's Texas blues. There's some in New Orleans.
Okay.
I don't know like all the places. There is Chicago blues, and I know that they have some other places, but I don't know all the. There's a little bit of a blues following out around New York, but
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I know there's around Georgia there's some, but I don't know all of them yet. I knew a lot about Big George, and I'm still learning about the blues. I guess I'd say like to the entire blues music scene, I'm kind of new. There's been people that have been following it for years, but I will say a great blues festival to go to is Juke Joint Festival, and that's down in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And Clarksdale is where the Crossroads were, where Robert Johnson supposedly sold his soul to the devil.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have a great festival every year, and it's I can't even remember. Like an armband is normally something like $20 just to get in, and there's a ton of free outdoor stages. And people from all over the world come there. Like there's a huge amount of people from Australia, and I have a friend from England that comes to it. There's people from all over that come.
So is $20 expensive for one of those type of events?
Could you imagine paying? So it's $20 for an armband that you could go into all the clubs on Saturday night. Now, on Thursday, Friday night, the clubs charge individual door covers because that's the actual festival night. But there's also free stages outside on the street Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you can go see music for all those days, and you have the door cover charges, as you go on Thursday, Friday. But Saturday to do the actual ones that are considered Juke Joint Festival events, it's only I think $20 for an armband.
What's one of the most recent or most memorable jazz festivals that you've been to?
Jazz or blues?
Sorry, blues. Sorry, that I don't know music. Blues festivals.
I missed out because of the family stuff I had going on. I didn't do 2019, but I went to Juke Joint Festival since 2013, and I would say that is the most personal festival. You'll meet people from all over the world, and because you're hanging out at these small, some of them are juke joints and some of them are clubs, but you'll see the actual musicians will be in the crowd with you, like dancing and having a good time. And so like it becomes a personal experience where you make friends with people that are musicians and fans. And it really is what they call blues family, And if you talk to these people, a lot of times different people, a lot of people have a story of what led them to the blues. Like they might've had a family tragedy or a loneliness or whatever, but I feel like they filled the void with, they call it blues medicine, filled the void with the medicine in the community. It's pretty powerful if you get into it, and it's addictive. I don't know how to, following it. I call it when I go out to see music locally, like I'll go down to BB's or whatever and I was going to Deja Vu and hit some different clubs. I call it blues chasing is what I call it. Chasing the blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do that often? Chase the blues?
I try to. I have to balance though, because I have a kid and a husband, and so there's a family thing that I got to go, and they come with me sometimes. But I like to go at least once. I'd love to go at least once a week, but it might be once a week or once every 2 weeks that I go. And if I'm out though, I'm out. I like to try to if there's like 3 shows going on, I like to try to hit all 3. But
And those blues festivals, do they have like a specific, like, what would you call it, like type of
genre?
Food available? Like what would you call it, like a what's the name for like is it entrees or something else, or like a genre of food? Is it a genre of food?
Well, there's genre of music, but I don't know if you call it genre of food. I don't know. Maybe.
Is there specifically blues food?
Well, you're going to find barbecue normally.
So that's synonymous with blues?
Oh yeah, blues and barbecue is synonymous.
Ooh.
But yeah, if you ever go to Highway 61 Roadhouse and Kitchen locally, they have really good barbecue, but they have blues quite a bit.
Is that the place that has that mural around?
Yes, yeah.
I think I've been there once.
Did you go? It was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Did you see it on there?
I don't know. I just remember that I think I've been there. I don't know. Is there a McDonald's and a Starbucks around there?
There is a McDonald's and there is a Starbucks across the street.
Okay, I think I've been there once.
I think a Subway somewhere too. Maybe.
It's pretty good.
It's in Old Orchard. Yeah, what'd you get?
Yeah, I don't. You're asking the wrong. That was years back.
I like the cream corn souffle. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, but
I don't know what I had. Yeah. So they play. Do you go there? Do you ever go there?
I go there some. I did the mural there, but
You did the mural there?
I did. Well, I did. I'm going to clarify. I did the main wall, the musician wall, and the mantle wall. My girlfriend Julie did the map wall, and she did the Josephine that's upstairs. And there's my favorite piece in there. She did a Bessie Smith door that's in there that's hanging in the restaurant part. But yeah, I mean, I did a couple of the paintings on the walls. But yeah.
Okay. So I've seen your work then in person.
Yeah, it says my name on BB. I signed my name on the bottom of BB.
It was so long ago. I don't know. I don't look for signatures, but it's been a while. So the blues, yeah. Do you have any advice for emerging artists?
I think the hardest part about doing art, if you're truly an artist, is making the time and clearing out space. You gotta clear out some space and time to do art. I know it's hard if you're working 40 hours a week, because I back off from doing art if I'm working 40 hours a week. It's hard to make time for it, but it's totally worth it when you do. I mean, it totally feels like when you're doing it, you get in the zone and you feel like this is what I was meant to do, and so you got to make time for it. Yeah.
How do you make time for your work, Carol? What do you do?
You have to shut things down. Like you have to, try to make sure that this sounds bad, but shut down part of work if you can. I mean, it's hard if you're at a place that you can't do that though. If you could do part-time work instead of full-time, or cut back on hours. Or I used to get up sometimes because I would run short of time to paint, and I would try to get up when the sun's coming up, try to get up at 6 before I do anything else. And at the time, I mean, you have to let the dogs out. You can't walk them or whatever, but just start painting at 6 when the sun's coming up. And the light in the room that I paint in, which I call the cat room, because because it's actually just we have an ironing board in there, and our storage stuff from Costco and a litter box at the closet. But that's so everybody's like, can I photograph you in the studio? And I'm like, you mean in the cat room? But the windows in there get fabulous morning light, though. You can see the sun coming up, and it's the best time to paint. Everything is clear. Your head is clear. Like it's easy to get in the groove if you do it first thing in the morning. Yeah.
Would you say that's like a habit, like a ritual or a habit? Do you still do that, or is that no longer happening right now?
I haven't done it in a little while. I need to do it again, but I've taken a little break. Like I was painting pretty hard and heavy on the blue series to get ready for King Biscuit, but I had thought that I might be doing it for 2021. And when they said 2022, I've kind of taken a little bit of a break for right now on it, but I'll get back on it.
Slowed down. Yeah, slowed down.
Yeah. But I mean, I got a good, like maybe six paintings in for Arkansas so far. And, my main focus on that is I loved, at the festival, yeah, there's great musicians on the main stage, but, to me, the real meat of the festival is these little side stages and the people busking on the street at the shows. And so
what's busking?
It's where they're out with their tip bucket and they're just playing their guitar and singing right on the street. They're busking for tips.
That's called busking?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
like busk. How do you?
Busking.
Okay, so that's like, okay. And so they have people come out there and like jam out.
Yeah, but that's where you'll see the best shows. Like, and to me, those are like, you'll run into like Blind Mississippi Morris. Like he'll be out busking, but he won't be on a stage anywhere. He'll just be set up on the street playing for a while, and you'll be able to catch him at the King Biscuit Blues Festival. And he's a legend too. Like you can see all these. There's different legends on different levels, but you'll see him like just out, just playing on the street. You can't beat it. I don't know how to describe it.
Blind Mississippi Morris, would he be on the stage normally?
He has been. Yeah, he's been on some of the stages. He's been on the stage at King Biscuit before, but sometimes he's not. He's just on the street.
Okay. And so you enjoy the busking part.
I do. I think it brings the musician. They're down off the stage. They're mixing with the crowd. The crowd and the musician kind of become one. I don't know. It's a partnership, in the experience. So it's all very like I'm going to claim to be kind of like I don't know the blues and I don't know that culture. So like it's hard for me to grasp, But like I haven't been to like a concert in such a long time. So it's interesting that there's that symbiotic relationship or that really close relationship that you get at those festivals. Maybe the when I was a kid they didn't have that type of thing, or maybe it's strictly kind of relegated to the blues. Is that kind of close? What it's like? Is it like a specific other festival? I've been to folk festivals, but I don't know that I had the same experience at them. I think you could probably get some of that same feeling if you just went downtown here to BB's. And when we have Big Muddy Blues Festival in St. Louis, that's the same thing. I mean, the crowd there, they'll be on a stage, but after their show, the musicians are mixed in with the crowd. I mean, they normally don't go home. They normally walk around. They want to hear more music and support their friends and be at it. Have you ever gone to Big Muddy Blues Festival in St. Louis?
I've been nowhere. Like I live in a dungeon. So like, if you want to like, what experiences have you've been to, Matt? I've had a burger once. No, I haven't been there.
I totally recommend, like, if you can, the next time they have a Big Muddy Blues Festival, or even if without a festival, if you just go down to Clarksdale, Mississippi for a day, and especially when it's not crowded, when it's not off season, the local people there, they want to share their story and their experience with you. And like I've had people when we went during the winter and they give you a tour of their property and tell you history of the blues or folklore, or they'll tell you all kinds of stuff. Like they'll give you a tour through the up into the attic where nobody goes. It's fantastic.
We have a question here. Would you like to answer it? Does your passion for music and blues inform your portraits in any way? In what ways? Or do you just prefer portraiture and kind of fell into the blues?
I'm kind of a portrait painter, but when I paint the portraits of the blues, I definitely am inspired by the artists and I listen to their music. I mean, I didn't just randomly pick. I mean, I have to be moved by their music and what they do, or I wouldn't paint them. I don't know if I'm answering the question. Am I answering it?
We'll see. Do you ever paint blues musicians that you don't like?
No.
No. So you really have to have an emotional connection to them, so that maybe
There's something about them that I love. So, and I called the series "Expressions of the Blues" because some of them, like locally, Chris Shepard, he was doing more R&B sound. Like some of the music, Roland Johnson, like R&B. So some of it's R&B, some of it could be hill country blues. Some of it could be Texas blues. Some of it could be Delta blues. There's different styles.
Oh, I was about to ask that. You brought that up about like different, like you talked about Texas blues, like all these different areas of blues. How do they like what's different about them? Like, is there like how would you describe?
Once you start listening to different ones, like hill country, it's got its own style. Like you have to listen to. Chicago has its own style. I don't know how to describe it. You would know after listening. I love to listen to KDHX. If you pick up on Ronnie Wisdom's show, he does a lot of hill country type stuff and different. It's like a merge. It doesn't sound like just blues. You got Art Dwyer, Papa Ray. They have blues shows. You can pick up on different styles of the blues.
Which styles of blues right now are you fascinated or intrigued with?
I'm always drawn to that hill country, and I know it's a different sound. That's out of Mississippi,
Okay.
More so, but it has something to do with it's funny because I used to make fun of things that are repetitive, but if you listen to hill country, it definitely has a repetitive rhythm and a sound to it. But it's addicting. If you get a chance and you want to see a good example of some different types of blues, and it follows mostly in hill country, but you could check out an online. There was a I don't know if it's a reality show. It's called Moonshine and Mojo Hands, and
What's that?
And Roger Stolley and Jeff Conkle did it. It's a series where they go across. They're traveling across Mississippi and they check out different juke joints and different styles of blues, and they interview the person about their music and food. They talk about food and they're actually in the heart of it. And that's online. It's for free, and you could just click on them at will, so you could binge watch or just watch one at a time. Yeah, so
have you binge watched it already?
Many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times. So you love the blues, or less you've grown to really appreciate it. Besides painting, what other passions or hobbies do you enjoy?
Well, I enjoy seeing the music, so that's not another one though. I like yoga. I haven't done it lately because I've been working a lot, but I love yoga and meditating. I don't know if that's a hobby though.
Does that
count? I have a spoon collection.
You have a spoon collection?
Yeah, and that all started from a Domino's commercial where the grandpa's talking to the grandson, and he says, "I got this spoon in Missouri, son. What's that say?" And the kid says, "Missouri." Sorry, that's why I started that. But
so, there's another question for you. Do you have any advice for a learning painter on how to bridge the gap, get focused, or create a personal style? Do you have any advice? That's from on the Facebook stream. Someone's asking a question. You can reread it if you like.
It's funny because I've tried doing abstract, but I'm not an abstract artist, and I've tried doing watercolor, and I'm not a watercolorist. I truly believe that you'll know your style when you get it, because over and over again, I can try to paint like somebody else, but I'm just me, and every single time it comes out looking a little folky. It just, it does. I have a folky style. I just suggest painting over and over again in the quiet and being yourself. I don't know. Every time I try to be somebody else, I feel like I'm fighting something. You can feel it,
How would you get focused?
Coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
So that's your trick, coffee?
Coffee does help me focus, but yeah, there's a herb you could get called rhodiola that helps you focus. I'm a little ADD, so
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I still think quiet. I love opening the back windows of that room, and you could hear just the sound of the wind, or got some wind chimes in the back, and being peaceful. Or like I said, if I'm painting a musician, I put on, because I'm trying to paint also, like get a feel for them. So I will put their music on in the background. If it takes me doing it over and over and over again, playing the same song over, even if I have to, I'll do that till I finish,
And you meditate. Why don't you meditate? How long, when you do meditate, how long do you usually meditate? Because I've had a couple artists that I spoke to that they meditate, and I find it very intriguing. I do it as well, but like I want to know what's meditating to you. Like, what's its function in your life?
I started meditating when we were trying to get pregnant with my son, and I was kind of using it because I'm a type A and so stressed out, and physically I think I needed to calm down. But I think, the whole idea of clearing your head, looking for the third eye, trying to, if you have a thought, you observe it and then you let it go. But the whole point is to clear your head and get quiet. And if I can do that successfully, which it could take me 20 minutes. I mean, it depends on, it could take me 20 minutes. And then I like to do where you visualize healing light going through your body, or sending it out, sending vibes out to friends that that are hurting, or like a healing. To me, you could use it for a meditation to calm down and focus, but you also could use it, similar to prayer. Like there's you use it like prayer, like if people are needing the love. I did a series once called STL Love, and it was during the Michael Brown stuff, and I kept painting the arch with, I didn't know how else to do it but a peace sign in the sky, but it was me trying to, I want everybody to love everybody, and that was kind of my reaction to that. But
so Carol, when you meditate, do you close your eyes?
I do.
It's like this, and then what do you do? What do you do after that?
I sit cross-legged, and I make my hands. You're supposed to do stuff like this, but I can't do that. So I normally do like this.
Why do you do this?
You're supposed to do that. I don't know why. It's supposed to change energy, but I normally do this instead.
You do this?
Well, yeah.
You do.
I do. I'm still making a circle, but I'm doing it with my hands. Yeah, I do.
You make a circle like this?
Yeah.
And where does it go?
I just set it down on my lap. Yep.
On your lap?
Yep.
And then I close my eyes, and then what do I do?
You're trying to see, first of all, I'm trying to clear all the thoughts out. You try to clear the thoughts out of your head and see nothing. And then you should be looking up toward your forehead for the light. You're trying to look for the light.
Your eyes are looking up?
Yeah.
When you're closed?
Uh-huh.
And then what?
You just keep looking for the light. You're looking for because your third eye is trying to, and then when you observe visions that come in, you observe them and you let them go, because that might be what you're supposed to see. It might just be your brain unloading, but it might just be what you're supposed to see.
So I'm looking up. I have my hands in the hand position, and am I supposed to be like rolling my eyes back?
I think you'll get a headache.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it right now. It hurts.
Yeah.
So you just look up slightly. And how do you go about clearing your mind of thoughts?
It's hard.
What do you do? Do you focus on breathing, or you just like say thoughts go away? Go away thoughts.
I think
I just want to think about it.
you focus on your breath.
You focus on your breath?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And like how do you breathe? Do you just is it like
You're
is it
supposed
like
to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth.
so you suck in air through your nose like and then breathe out with your mouth?
Yeah, I hope you don't have a deviated septum or something, but yeah.
I thought I had a deviated septum for a while.
One side works is good, but that's probably with everybody, right?
I thought I did, and I started. This is going to sound gross. It's going to be really gross. I started using it, irrigating it, like cleaning it.
Did you use a pot?
No, I don't have one. All I have is like this little water squirter, and I just use that. I don't have a neti pot, but I started doing that, and I've been telling my wife, like, I don't know if you understand this, but like I can breathe out of both of my noses, like nostrils now, and it's a weird situation that I am because I've never been able to do like I've been able to do it every once in a while, but like I've always been stuffed up, and it was really interesting because for the most part, when I breathe, it'd be like I'd be like just sucking air through one nostril all the time. But now I can do both, and I don't think she understands.
Like mine like gets better if I do yoga and stretch out my upper back, and that sounds nuts, but I feel like for some reason my nose opens up. What does that have to do with one another? I have no idea. Like I don't know.
And you'd meditate for at least 20 minutes. What's the third eye?
Supposed to be looking for light, for wisdom. It's supposed to be like a wisdom thing. I think it's a Buddhist thing. The lady who taught me how to meditate, she was a Buddhist, and so I don't know because I don't follow all of that, but I definitely dug the meditation.
How long did she teach you?
I went to her for heck, I don't, because she also taught me yoga and meditation. I went to her for well over a year, probably a couple years. I went to her. I had her be like my private yoga instructor.
So we kind of glossed over how you kind of started painting a little bit, where you listen to the music and you want to get the essence of the artist the musician that you want to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Is there any other like preparations that you go through when you are beginning a painting? Do you so like some people do you have a cup of coffee and you stare at the surface and drink the cup of coffee while you're listening to music, and then you stand up, you're like, okay, I'm ready to paint? Or is there something that you do prior or during or after that is kind of like a habit or a ritual or some sort of thing that you do that's just kind of like your quirky thing that you do to kind of get your painting going?
Well, I normally have a cup of coffee with me, so that's just a default thing.
Okay, default coffee,
just because I like coffee.
of course.
I normally, before I paint someone, it's kind of like studying them. I'll go through and see what I can find about them online, either photographs, some history, some stories, YouTube videos. I love watching if I can catch live performances from people. In fact, most of the artists, I try to paint from my own photographs so that I don't run into copyright issues. But sometimes I end up like, if I can't find, I do screenshots of music videos that are like people have done, like home video, whatever. And sometimes it's it's funny because sometimes the paintings that came from blurry black and white, like the worst looking video, like you can't hardly see, like they come out the best. And why? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's up to my own interpretation. Mm-hmm. And maybe because you get to play with the color more on your own. But yeah, so I normally do that. But as far as like, I mean, I don't do any stretches or lunges or something before I go in there or nothing like that. But yeah.
No stretches or lunges?
No stretches or lunges, no.
Oh, that's my thing. That's what I don't do lunges, but I do exercise before. Huh?
You do your exercises right before?
Yeah, but only out of necessity. It's the only time I can do it. So no stretches or lunges. Lots of research. What else? What else can you tell to the audience, Carol, that you feel that the urge to talk about?
I love, so if the artists that I paint, if they're still alive, I love being able to either message them. I mean, the power of social media and being able to message people that you normally wouldn't have access to, but message them and have a conversation. And sometimes I'll call them and talk to them, or some of them I met at festivals and I spoke to, but I feel like you get to have personal conversations, which things I like to ask are like, what do you like to eat? You know, like just like regular questions. Like I have conversations like that. That sounds nuts, but I feel like getting to know somebody a little bit before you paint them is awesome if you can. You know, it doesn't always happen. Sometimes it happens though. Makes it a little more personal.
Carol, what do you like to eat?
I like chicken a lot.
What kind of chicken?
Any kind of chicken.
Any kind?
Dark meat chicken. Fried chicken.
Fried chicken?
Roasted chicken.
If a chicken genie, if your coffee mug, you're like, you rub your coffee mug and poof, a genie comes out dressed up in a chicken suit for some dumb reason, I don't know why, says, I will give you any chicken meal you ever want. What do you want?
Fried leg quarter dinner.
Fried leg or quarter dinner? Any side? What's fried leg quarter dinner?
The leg quarters, the thigh and the chicken leg fried.
Oh, so it's like both. It's a compound.
You betcha. Oh, or I do love Indian food. Like if you get Indian food, like with chicken.
Oh, you can't get that. You can't get that because that's
the genie doesn't do that.
He's a chicken genie. He doesn't give Indian food. He only gives chicken food.
But
unless
is Indian food.
Okay, then that will count. That'll count. But if it's like, you know, if it's just a chickenless Indian food, you can't get that.
Oh, okay.
He's a very niche market genie. He only does one type of wish, and he just gives you whatever chicken meal you want. It doesn't matter as long as it's got chicken in it. So it'd be the leg quarter chicken meal. Would it be like any prepared anyway? Would it be like
breaded and fried? What is that? What you're asking?
Sure, breaded and fried. Is there a special
Springfield style cashew chicken? Have you ever had that from Springfield?
No. You're talking all these places and events. I've been to like nothing. Like I've been to things, but not that type of. I've not been in those specific areas.
They fry it. It's almost like the KFC popcorn chicken. Their bread, they have a certain style of breading per that area is where it came from. And it's their Springfield style cashew chicken. Oh my gosh. It's fried though. It's breaded and fried. It's delightful.
Oh wow.
What is he writing?
He wants to know what aspects of the blues do you like? Piano, drums, guitar, solos, great singing, souls, whatever. What of the music draws you in?
I am drawn. I like to have a vocalist all the time. I can do an instrumental, but I do like having vocals. So there's always the vocals, but that's a given. I love a bass player. I love to hear the bass. So
slap at the bass.
The bass player playing some bass. You betcha. Is
it called slap at the bass?
I think they call it. Some people call it that.
Slapping. Where they're like, how do you know what it means? Like, is there any other terms for it? Like, what blues terms are there for like a bass player that they have specific for blues?
I don't know. I have to ask a bass player specifically.
So you like a lot of vocals? Like a lot of vocals,
yeah. He said slapping is a technique. He said.
Okay, it's slapping. Okay,
but I'm like, hopefully that's what that means.
Carol, this is the most Q&A from a viewer that we've had, so you should be honored.
I am honored. Where's Daniel from? Does he say? Where are you from, Daniel?
Well, we might find out soon enough. What else? Oh, you contact these jazz players. What social media do you usually contact them on?
I normally use Messenger from Facebook, but sometimes I use Instagram.
Okay. And like how often do they reply? Is it like what's the return rate?
It's surprisingly 90%. I mean, it's surprising. Like I can normally get a hold of them or maybe their manager. If it's somebody really big, not so much.
What's the really like one of the biggest like blues players that you've been in contact with?
Well, I've been in contact with Michael Burke's wife because he's no longer alive.
Who's Michael Burks?
He's out of Arkansas.
Okay.
And then I've been on the phone with Larry McCray. He's a guitar player. He's a great guitar player out of Arkansas. Well, actually, he's up in now, but he was originally Arkansas. I don't know if you know.
I know none of these names.
Toronto Cannon out of Chicago. Do you know who that is? Kingfish. He just recently got 5 blues awards. Like Kingfish is phenomenal, and I've talked to him a bunch, and I've painted him like three or four times. I've painted Kingfish.
Do any of these jazz musicians have? I mean, blues. Gosh, I'm mixing blues and jazz. I don't know why I'm mixing them up. Like I'm like.
There is a club here called BB's Jazz, Blues, and Suits. So
yeah, so maybe because they I don't know why I think jazz and blues. Maybe because like people swap those terminologies so easily that like that's how I think of them. So I apologize. I don't mean to say like jazz and blues. I mean to refer to blues music specifically. Do you have any of those people that you contacted? Those really hard to get musicians? Have the artwork that you've drawn or painted of them? Do any of them own some of your work hanging up in their house?
No, they don't. I kept this whole series like I have it here. I built it to travel to museums. I'm hoping to add to it. You know, I didn't actually. And some people were like, "Well, will you do prints of it?" And I'm like, I'm not doing prints to sell that series because I want it solely to only show at museums or cultural centers, maybe colleges, you know, history kind of thing. I did make one print for, he used to be from St. Louis, Lucius Spiller, because he asked me to. He's out of Mississippi now, but yeah, but I made one print. It wouldn't be that I would make a print for the actual musician if they wanted a copy of it, but I'm not making reproductions of them to sell. I don't want to do that.
And you go around, they go around locally, nationally?
I actually had a place. I had a place in Ireland that wanted them, but the shipping was astronomical. We were trying to figure out because the tin is very light, but the wood on them is very heavy, and like for insurance purposes, it was going to be thousands of dollars to get it shipped there, like $5,000 just for shipping or something. You know,
in Ireland.
So it was. I had reached out to different festivals to see if they had cultural centers close by or museums like close to the festival, so it would coincide and tie in. Daniel says that he used to live in Afton and he's now in Webster. I actually live in Afton, but far west side. But yeah, I was just seeing that on there. Sorry.
Continue. So like Ireland, like how'd that occur? Like did you get contacted from someone or like what was happening? Was there like a blues?
me, and they emailed me. And it was a cultural center. They had I don't know if it was a museum, but I think it was a cultural center that was there that had blues festivals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they were wanting it, but too much for shipping.
They weren't going to front. They weren't going to pay for the cost.
Yeah, the cost of shipping and insurance it was the combination. It was too much.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And I was looking at some of your work, and it says it's on some of your paintings. Some of your paintings are on slate.
Oh, I did do a small musician series before I did the blues series, and it was on slate tile. I did a few.
How'd that work? Like, how was that? How was that the paint on?
I just bought some slate tiles from like Home Depot. It was it absorbed the paint. Some of them went really fast. Sometimes I could knock one out in an hour, and sometimes it'd take a few days, but it really absorbed the paint. It was pretty rough on a brush.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Heating up the brush, but I don't know. I love those tiles though, because they had a little bit of a iridescent sheen to them in different areas. I really liked it, and I would pick out the tile per the musician. Like I would, look at it if it was like Johnny Cash went on, because it was just a musician series. So Johnny Cash went on a rougher tile because he's Johnny Cash. That's why. But yeah, so yeah, I had done a small, and that showed at Hartford Coffee Shop in
Okay.
the Tower Grove.
Are those paintings really fragile? I would imagine they'd be like.
They were heavy. The tile.
Oh yeah.
They were. I don't know. I thought they were fairly durable. Like, I didn't feel like you wouldn't chip it off or anything. I mean,
yeah,
you couldn't put it on the floor or nothing, but that's a joke. I guess it's not a joke if I have to tell you it's a joke, right?
Well, what was that? The jokes that we were talking about earlier about you said something that you don't read, and we talked about blogs for a brief moment, and you had a joke about that.
I thought it was funny. Did you think it was funny or not funny?
What's the tell the joke? I don't know the joke. I'm not the one who's comedian.
You know who reads your blog?
Who reads your blog?
You. It's a joke. Everybody's got a blog. I was going to say that's the thing. There was not always, but for a while, didn't everybody have a blog? Like there was so.
It used to be like back in the day they had blogs, and a blog was hard to make a while back because you had to edit, like you had to do like the website editing, but now there are like apps for blogs and like sites specifically for blogs. But everyone for a while had a brief minute had a blog. It was like the it thing to do. Do you have a blog?
I have no blog.
No blog?
I'm not a blogger. I'm not a writer. Yeah, no blog. I communicate in pictures.
Okay.
Video. I like to take. I do. At those shows that I go to, the music shows, I do take photographs, even though I'm not really a photographer. Although I'm kind of known as a photographer, but I'm not really a photographer. But I take photos and I take video a lot of times just from my phone and post it, because it helps get the word out. People use it sometimes to get booked. So, yeah, so I like to do that.
What's it like painting on a whole frame like that in the background? Do you find that challenging to paint on top of the frame?
You mean like I didn't paint on the wooden frame? Is that what you're asking? Oh,
that's the tin. Okay, yeah. It merges with the frame. That's what's confusing to me.
Let me tilt it a little.
Yeah, I was very confused. So now that makes more sense. So what's it like painting on that beveled surface, that's not flat?
It's okay, but a lot of times when I painted a guitar on there, it made it look bowed. It's like I had to doing a straight line on it because of the bevel. It made it look more bowed out. But bigger challenges. These tins were old, and some of them had holes in them from the nail holes, and so we had to patch some of those. and my husband helped me with those to patch those, but sometimes there's like a ding in it. I just tried to make sure that if there was a ding in it, it happened on the outside, not in the main image area.
Do you ever perfectly scuff up some areas with like a razor blade or a metal scraper or something?
Nah, they were already pretty rough. I mean, so I went through and what's that? I can't remember the stuff that I used to help strip some of the paint off and stuff. It's pink. What's the stuff called?
The pink stuff. I don't know what it is.
I used the pink stuff to strip it some, and then I used a hand sander, and then I used just some sandpaper and yeah. I spent just on 10 tiles probably 2 weeks prepping tile by the time, because I put like a rubber sealant underneath it.
What's the rubber sealant for?
Like, I just thought if there's any, because I just wanted to make sure that, because the old paint on there, I didn't want it seeping through.
Okay. Okay.
And some of them, like I knocked off and got all the rust and stuff off, but some of them, I wanted to make sure there wasn't any rust on it or anything. What is that pink stuff? Naval gel?
I think it's called Pepto-Bismol.
No, nice try, but no.
You just rub a little Pepto on the panel. It will strip the paint away for you, and you can also use it to soothe your tummy.
It's what's it? I'm going to Google it. Can I do that? Is that legal?
This isn't like an ACD test. I don't know what it is.
It is. It's called navel jelly.
Navel jelly.
And you get it at Home Depot. I need to quit doing that. I don't want to do an ad. You should get it at your local small hardware store. Support local small.
Available at your mom and pop hardware store.
I go to Ace sometimes. They have awesome salsa. Is that weird?
Ace?
Yeah.
So you have another question.
I think you should hang on to your pieces. I don't think you always know that they're good till later. That sounds crazy, but I had an art teacher once that said to me, like, some of your biggest mistakes will end up being, your biggest success. So I would not chuck a piece if you feel frustrated with it. Daniel asks, how do you know when you've made a successful piece?
Yeah. That, like, so how do you know?
I just need to capture like the essence of the person. And so, especially because it's portrait work, if you were doing, depending on what you're painting, if you're doing like impressionism or abstract or something, I don't know how to tell you. I'm just like looking for it to catch the essence of the person. Like it doesn't only have to look kind of like them. Like it's like a hue or a feel, like this Big George one. I had photographed him at BB's and he was playing, but I mean, I remember the suit he's wearing. It was like a velvety kind of suit, so I wanted this to have that soft hue, and I wanted the fabric to glow a little, like to me, like I captured him and, his large hands. I don't know if you know the story of Big George. He grew up on a same plantation as Muddy Waters, and when he was younger, he was a boxer and he knocked out Sonny Liston, and then he moved to St. Louis and opened some clubs here in St. Louis. Club Caravan. It was up by the old Gaslight Square. He had Ike and Tina Turner there, and like he had different Muddy Waters would come to town and stuff. But like his hands, because he was a boxer and his hands were so huge. He was a huge man, but I think that tells part of his story to see him like engulfing the harmonica, and knowing he's a boxer. Like I most of the times I painted him, I try to capture his hands in it.
You should have made his hands tiny, so he would be called Tiny Hands.
He's like, no,
like made him real small on purpose. I'm just drawing what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
So, what makes a piece successful? That's very subjective. Sometimes I feel like my paintings end up in the trash can. I think sometimes when you're working on your art, you got to separate the emotional aspect of it and understand that it's a cumulative effect, right? Where you through time you're going to get better, and just because you're not hitting that perception of what your painting should look like, doesn't mean you're not improving, right? And so it is normal. It's probably more normal early on, where you have this idea of what a successful piece is, and then later on, when you start making more and more work, your at least for me, your emotional attachment isn't as strong. So you've hardened your art skin to not be as harsh, not worry about your inner critic as much, right? So maybe through time, your inner critic you will still have that inner criticism. At least that's my perception, or like how I feel. And through that buildup of work, you don't necessarily become less attached, but the effect of your own self doubt or own inner criticisms and self criticisms don't hit you as hard as they used to, right? And because this goes through making lots and lots of work, right? That's just how I feel about it. So it is normal at the beginning, and it will go away. Although there's always going to be a lingering level of self doubt to some artists. Some people don't have that type of feeling. I hope that answered your question, or at least about art in general, and worrying about whether it's going to be a successful piece. You won't know until you finish it, and you won't know until maybe years later where, oh, there's some certain qualities in that piece that were successful, or certain things that were working in certain areas that weren't. But you don't bog yourself down on the micro of the artwork. Just focus on creating the work, and just kind of enjoy it. If you're not enjoying the work, it can be emotionally draining. What do you say about that, Carol? Is that something that you kind of feel works? Is that something that kind of works with you?
I definitely have certain paintings where I feel like I get in a zone and everything is great. I have great painting days, and I'm happy and I feel great. And then I have certain ones where it becomes a labor and you struggle with it. I don't know how to. I think I'm with you though. Like the more you paint, the more I would say the more I let things go. That sounds maybe not great, but I mean, sometimes I'm like, I'm like, you've captured it. You need to let this go and move on. And the reason why I love painting in acrylic, I've tried doing oils, is the oils don't dry, and I will work that thing to death. I will keep going and going. And I always find a lot of times when I do a painting that I probably loved it and I should have stopped 2/3 the way there. Like I wished I would have stopped before. So I've gotten now to where I am like, well, that was pretty easy, like that, but it looks good, and I'll say it looks good, and then I'm like, well, maybe I should work it more, and then I'm like, no, you need to walk away. Maybe you need to walk away because, like you are at that point. And if you keep working it, you might regress. I don't know, but I do think the more, like you're saying, the more you paint, the more that goes away a little bit, for sure.
I think the what you were talking about, like the overworking part, where you go to a point in the painting where it's getting better, and then it like plateaus maybe, and then you think that adding more is going to make it more better, and then sometimes it kind of retracts, it goes downhill a little bit, and then there's like there's a psychology behind it. Like, oh no, you're like, I need to fix the mistake that I had. Now I gotta keep working on it. You're actually you'll probably when you're I think you probably could agree on this to some extent, Carol, is like when it's best to almost start the same painting or do a new painting and take what you learned in the previous painting and apply it to the new one, and you actually improve a little bit faster than if you were to keep working on the same painting, because you're not seeing the mistakes you're making anymore. You become kind of blind. It becomes like wallpaper.
It's hard to go back. I do like to photograph my stuff in progress, because that's how I know that I have a tendency to overwork, because I'll photograph it so many, like, at the end of every day, I like to take just with your phone or something, a shot of it. But I'm like, then I can see where, oh, that's when it was the best. It was like right here, and then I always went like a day past it. But lately, I've not really been doing that. I just go ahead and there's a point where I just go ahead and said, it's really good. It's like you're at the casino and you're winning. It's time to walk away. You know what I mean? It's time to go, okay, I'm going to move on to the next one because it's good. Like you got to let it go.
Yeah, and that feeling, it just comes through experience. The knowing when the penis, the painting, the painting is finished. I mixed two words together. I mean to do that. The painting is finished. Knowing when the painting is finished, and just through time it takes. You'll learn that happens. You learn when to walk away. I'm going to talk about that later.
What's the name of that blog that you said? The
Bob Loblaw's Law Blog.
Yes. See, that's good. I just needed to hear that one more time.
Bob Loblaw's Law Blog. So you'll through time you'll improve that mental muscle, really.
He says his wife tells him to do.
Yeah, sometimes you might need a second opinion. Having a person come to you as a outside critique, a third party critiquer, is always good.
I don't always ask my husband though, because I notice I get mad at him if he answers something. Now he knows. I kind of like, he's kind of like, yeah, like, I'm like, no, give me the answer that I'm looking for. That's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes if you see you go out for a critique, someone you take a critique so you can seek validation, and that's not really good either, so that you want a critique that gives you some poignant poignant pieces of advice that you can work with.
Well, I definitely think walking away from it and looking at it just yourself again in different light at a different time of day. Just wait and look at it in the morning in that good light, and it'll be very obvious. Like I should just do this couple of things and then stop and let it go. Like in a different time of day, different perspective, different moment,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Carol, I feel the momentum slowing down. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
A little bit. I just want to ask one last thing. Carol, what bit of life advice can you give to anyone, be it if they're older than you, younger than you, same age, right? What is some life advice that you have learned that you think anyone can use or should try to apply it to their life?
I'm not one for fancy things. Like I'll drive an old car. You know what I mean? I'll wear thrift store clothes and whatever, but I'd like to spend my time and or money on experience, because with experience you get memories. So like I would rather spend my time going to see music or festivals or have a moment with somebody. So take the time to shut down, if you can, shut down the work for a little bit and spend some time with the people you love and or doing something you love, so you have the experience, I definitely would. I'm like, it's funny because I'm always like, I save my money. I'll shut off cable, but I'm like, but I want a house cleaner, so I don't have to clean the house all the time. I have my priorities straight here, you know. And I'm like, I won't spend it on a new car, and I won't spend it on new clothes, but I love going out to hear some music or have a nice dinner or go on a trip, you know, and see some people or visit. So I think live for experience, don't you think? Like, do you go on trips?
Me?
Do you? Yeah.
Uh, I live to paint or make art. I don't right now at this point in my life. I don't know. I'd love to go on some trips. That's something that I should try out. I think that'd be nice.
I like
I
the
do think it
art.
would.
The art will come, but I was like, I like to have the experiences, and then I like to go paint. So the music part, I go see the music, I live the experience, I kind of fall in love essentially with the music, and then I can paint about it later. So
Carol, where can people find you?
they can find me on Facebook, they can find me on Instagram. You mean social media wise? I have
Yeah,
a
social media wise, website.
I'm on
Where can they contact you?
I'm on Fine Art America. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I don't check it because I'm not a tweeter. Anyway, I have expressionsoftheblues.com has my blues series. I have carolbossart.com I haven't updated it in a while. It's got some different series. I did a Delta series. It has part of my STL love and some of my mural work on it. But that's pretty much it.
What are your social media? What are your social media handles for Twitter, Instagram?
That's a good question.
No.
I don't know. I think I'm Carol Boss 8 on Twitter. On Facebook, I just have regular Carol Boss, and then I have Carol Boss Art. On Instagram, I think it's under Carol Boss Art. Do you have it? I sent it to you before. I was like, I don't remember. I can't hear you. Uh-oh. I can't hear. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Okay, the host has unmuted the mic. Are you on there?